be for an adversary hearing calling for the mother, Serena Brown. I believe I see a Serena. Is that you, Ms. Brown, Serena Brown?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Brown, have you had an opportunity to speak with your attorney, Ms. Savage?
No.
Not at all yet?
No.
Has anyone heard from Ms. Savage?
No.
Her office is on.
Well, I see her office is on, but I think they can hear us, but we can't hear them. Do we have an ETA on Ms. Savage? Okay, now we're unable to hear you again.
What?
Stand by, Ms. Brown, stand by. C for a motion, a joint motion, I believe, for monitored return. Let me call for the parties. First, the mother, Carla Lozano. If you can unmute and announce.
I'm present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And the father, Aaron Carver.
I'm present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, next calling for the intervenors, Victor Lozano and Yisel Lozano.
Present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, I have both of you marked present. All of the parties are present. I believe this is primarily your motion, Ms. Iverson. Let me know if that's correct and whether or not there's an agreement.
I can't say if there's an agreement, actually, Your Honor. Yes, I would say it's primarily my motion.
Okay. All right. So are you ready? Are you ready on your motion, Ms. Iverson?
Sure. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. So let me go around beginning with Ms. Dick and take announcements. Ms. Dick, is the department ready?
The department is ready, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. And Ms. Pardue-Wheeler, as you can be.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Thank you. And Ms. Savage.
Yes. Yes.
In the Carver matter. All right. Thank you. And are the intervenors ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Okay, I don't believe I need any opening statements, but if someone feels that I do, then let me know that at this point. Just somewhat of a heads up. Should the evidence in the best interest militate in favor of my granting this motion, Ms. Iverson, following the statutory timelines, it would actually shorten the dismissal date by about 2 weeks, since I have recently granted a general extension. So just FYI to you all on that matter. So with that, Ms. Iverson, you may call your first.
I'll call Ms. Lozano.
Thank you. Ms. Iverson, you may proceed.
Ms. Lozano, without giving the address, with whom do you reside at this point?
I reside with the intervenors.
Which is your brother and his wife and their children?
Yes, ma'am.
And both of your children as well?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been there?
Roughly around since December 9th, I believe.
How's that going?
It's going really great.
And would you like to remain in that situation?
Yes.
Are you and your family safe there?
Yes.
Are you able to take care of your own children there?
Yes.
Is everybody getting along?
Yes.
Are these children, although they're biologically cousins, are they more like siblings at this point?
Yes, they are.
And to your knowledge, do the interveners want you to remain there?
They do.
Is there any reason that this can't be a long-term situation?
No reason.
Would you ask that the judge be allowing the child to return officially to your care as you remain in the intervener's home?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns that that it would be difficult to be protected from the father?
No concern.
I will pass the witness. I'm sorry. Would it be in Amaya's best interest for this motion to be granted?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Lozano, have you given birth to another child, a younger child, obviously, who is in your care and not part of this suit?
Yes.
Okay, and when did that occur? The birth.
The birth? It
Yeah.
occurred on August 6th of 2023.
Okay. Congratulations, if I've not already said that. And
Thank you.
did that child and you both come to live with the intervenors on December the 9th of last year?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Pardue-Wheeler.
Thank you, Judge. Carla, in this case, were you given a family plan of service to work?
I'm sorry, there was feedback. Can you repeat that?
Sure. At the beginning of this case, were you given a family plan of service?
Yes.
And were you asked to do parenting classes?
Yes.
You finished those?
Yes.
Were you asked to do any kind of psychological assessment?
Yes.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Do you know what the recommendations of that assessment were?
Yes, I do.
What were they?
There were 6 counseling sessions. Completed 4 out of the 6 because they recommended I didn't need any more.
So you were successfully discharged from the counseling?
Yes.
And up until the birth of your most recent child, were you working?
Yes.
And are you currently looking to resume work?
Yes, I am.
Have there been issues or has the department had any concerns at all about you testing positive for any illegal substances?
There was one concern, but that was due to the birth.
Is that but since then, have you had any issues with any drug tests or anything like that?
No.
The home that you currently live in, obviously your child was placed there, so is it safe?
It is safe.
And that's a stable household with your family?
Yes.
And Ms. Pardue-Wheeler, excuse me, just for the record, and for my own understanding, any drug-related concerns that had to do with a birth, were you talking about your most recent birth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Judge. So is it your understanding, Carla, that you have completed your family plan of service?
Yes.
And because of that, are you prepared to move forward with raising your children along with your family, though?
Yes, I am.
Has CPS asked you to do anything else in order to get your child returned to you?
Just follow the family plan.
And is it your understanding you've done everything on that except for currently working in this moment?
Yes.
All right. No further questions, Judge. I pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Savage.
Judgment. In regard to this plan for you to get the child turned back to you, in this case, have you done everything that CPS has asked you to do?
To my knowledge, yes.
And at this point in time, you can't think of anything that you haven't done that they've asked you to do?
I'm still continuing doing the drug testing as per the family plan.
But other than that, there's nothing else that you
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. or Ms. Lozano, does either of you have any questions for the mother, Ms. Lozano?
No, Your Honor, not this one.
All right, thank you. Ms. Iverson, back to you.
Your Honor, I didn't have an opportunity to.
I'm sorry, Ms. Dick, going around the circle here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, Ms. Lozano, what events brought you to Victor and Yosel's home on December 9th, 2023?
What reason?
Yes.
Because it was safer for me to be there with my children. I was safe from Aaron.
What do you mean by safer there?
Preventing Aaron to have access to me and to my new baby.
And why did you not want Aaron to have access to you or to the new baby?
Due to the incident that happened on December 2nd, I don't know if I'm allowed to explain it in this case.
What was the incident?
Aaron and his
Hang on,
aunt.
Judge, I'm gonna object just because I think that this might be outside the scope of the monitored return specifically to mom, and I haven't had a chance to speak with my client about this particular incident and whether or not there are any pending criminal charges.
Your Honor, I would just say that we've had a week to explore different things that might have gone on during this time and to get a clearer background on the mother and her information. And
All right, Ms.
the
Dick.
reason,
Ms. Dick, I'm going to forbear any ruling on that objection since Ms. Pardue Wheeler was appointed very lately. I'm going to place her and Ms. Lozano in a breakout room for about 5 minutes, and we will resume with that very question. Okay, Ms. Dick?
thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Lozano, Ms. Pardue Wheeler, if you all will stand by, I'm going to place you all in a breakout room and give you all 5 minutes. Ms. Pardue Wheeler, have you had a ample time to visit with your client?
Yes, Judge, I did meet with her, and I still stand by really.
Okay.
I'm not sure I made two objections, but
let me hear the question again, please, Ms. Dick, and also any objections.
Well, I was asking about what had happened on December 2nd, 2023.
and my objection to that had more to do with has to do with a child that isn't subject to this suit and is not reflective of whether or not the mother is compliant with her service plan. My other objection to that is that there could potentially be criminal or quasi-criminal actions that come out of that, and I don't know that it would be certainly in my client's best interest to testify publicly and under oath on that, considering we don't know where that's going.
Your Honor, I'd like to respond that it's relevant to why and how she ended up in the current placement and to the safety of the current placement for all involved.
Well, I think it is relevant. I believe the question calls for narrative, so I'm going to overrule the objection. So, Ms. Dick, if you'll re-ask your question, please.
Okay, so Ms. Lozano, could you tell us what happened on December 2nd?
Excuse me. On December 2nd, I was trying to leave the house. I was prevented from leaving the house. The cops were called, and then I left the house after that.
And who prevented you from leaving the house?
Aaron and Linda Carver.
All right, and this was on December 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Linda Carver the paternal grandmother?
Paternal aunt.
Aunt, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, and as far as the attempting to leave the house, did you go back to the house after December 2nd?
No.
So when did you move in with Yasel and Victor?
I believe around December 9th.
So where did you stay for that week between December?
At my parents'.
Right. And did you have Amelia with you, your other child, your infant?
Yes.
We'll just use the initials.
Thank you. We may have to do A1C.
You're right.
C. Okay.
Or all three initials, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure what the middle initial is on that. All right. So you gave birth to your youngest child, AC, on August 6th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And you're saying you're in compliance with the service plan. Have you always, or have you verified a stable income to your caseworker at any time?
I have provided her with paycheck stubs.
Where are you working currently?
I'm not working currently. I am looking for employment.
Okay. And did you notify your caseworker that you had safe and stable housing throughout your case?
I put her with addresses where I lived at.
And were you living with Mr. Carver during that time?
Yes.
So you lived with Mr. Carver until December 9th, correct?
December 9th of 2023?
Yeah.
No.
December 2nd, I'm sorry, December 2nd. Okay.
Yes.
And prior to December 2nd, did you have concerns for your safety?
Yes.
Why?
Why I had concerns for my safety?
Yes.
Due to some situations I was living in with Aaron or his family sometimes.
And what type of situations were you living in?
Situations that I would express feelings or concerns, and I was just gaslit, or sorry, I'm trying to explain it correctly. Or my concerns were just not considered. I asked for help, they didn't help me.
Right. What did you specifically ask for help with?
I would tell them about some of Aaron's actions and per se to his aunt. And
I'm sorry, per se to what?
His aunt, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you would tell about his actions to his aunt?
Yes, and she would just laugh it off or excuse his actions.
And what type of actions were you observing?
I'm trying to think. Just situations as if I was trying to go see my family, he would get angry that I would go see my family. He would just tell me that he didn't want me to go, or that I can't take the baby with me, but I would still go, and the baby goes everywhere where I go.
Okay, so he said you couldn't take the baby with you, but then he said the baby has to go everywhere you go? Or you?
No, I said that the baby has to go everywhere I go.
And why were you so concerned about the baby being with you?
The baby needs to stay with me. I do not trust leaving her in their care, in Aaron's care or Linda's care.
All right, and you're concerned about, so did this begin as soon as the baby was born?
With the baby, yes, I had some concerns as before the baby was born as well, for my safety.
Okay, so from before the baby was born until December 2nd, you had concerns about your safety.
Yes.
Did you ever try to leave before then?
Before the baby was born, yes. Throughout this whole case, I have left.
How many times have you left?
About once or twice.
But you went back.
Yes.
Okay. When you were asked to do a drug test, let's see, shortly after the baby was born, did you notify them that you were unable to take the drug test?
Through my attorney, my previous attorney, sorry.
And when you were notified that, excuse me, there was one test that was positive, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you asked to provide a copy of your medication at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that?
I provided it to my previous attorney.
And Ms. Dick, when was this drug test requested?
August 28th, 2023.
All right.
Okay. Did you decline to take a drug test on 9/13/2023?
Yes, due
Okay.
to I was still at the hospital at that point.
On 9/13,
Yes, ma'am.
the baby was born on.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm getting my dates mixed up. I'm sorry.
Okay. And did you also refuse to take a test on 10/10/2023?
I'm sorry. To my knowledge, I've gone to all of my drug testing.
So did you decline to take a test on 11/13/2023?
No, ma'am.
Subject asked and answered. She stated that to her knowledge, she's gone to all of her drug tests.
All right. So
Overruled.
as you would,
Overruled.
I'll stop. All right. So you had concerns about Mr. Carver's behavior prior to December 2nd, correct?
Yes.
And you left a couple of times during
Yes.
this case. This lasted for 2.5 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think it was and despite everything you knew about Mr. Carver, you still chose to stay with him after the second baby was born, correct?
The wedding.
Yes, out of fear.
All right. No further questions right at this moment. I'll pass the witness.
All right.
Actually, let me ask just one more.
Go ahead, Ms. Dick. Mhm.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't hear you.
You may.
Thank you. Did you feel at times that being with Mr. Carver created an immediate danger for you and the child?
Yes.
Do you believe that you expressed proper judgment into staying with him as long as you did during this case?
Judgment on Aaron?
With Aaron, did you believe that you showed proper judgment in staying with Mr. Carver for 2.5 years during this case?
No. I'm sorry, did you hear me?
I heard you.
Oh, sorry.
So how would you, if you didn't exercise proper judgment, how could you protect your children at this point in time, given the nature of his behavior?
I've taken the steps to protect my children at this point. After, is there feedback?
There was.
Oh, I'm sorry. After December 2nd, I've taken the proper precautions to be able to take better care of, protect, I'm sorry, my children against Aaron Carver.
What steps have you taken?
On the process of a protection order.
So you're in the process of getting a protective order?
Yes.
Do you have an emergency protective order?
No, not at the moment. I am trying to update Aaron's bond conditions and adding the new baby as well. I have filed for divorce as well.
But you don't have a protective order yet?
Not yet.
No further questions. I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lozano, are there any temporary orders in your divorce case right now?
No, I haven't received any updates on the divorce at the moment.
All right. And do you have an attorney in that case?
No, I'm representing myself.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Iverson.
Yes, sir, I'll call Victor Lozano.
All right, Mr. Lozano.
And Amaya is in you are in your wife's care and her mother at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long has she been in the care of you and your wife?
I think since she was probably 10 weeks or so old.
Safe to say that's the only home she's known?
Yes.
And that you and your wife are like parents to her as well at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she safe in your home with her mother and her new sibling there as well?
Yes, she is. We all work together.
Do you have any concerns for the safety of this family at this point in this arrangement?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any concerns for the safety of your family with this current arrangement at this point?
No, I don't.
And would you be asking that the judge grant my motion that Amaya be returned to her mother to reside with you and your wife and your children?
Yes, I would like that.
Do you believe that that would be in her best interest?
Yes.
At this point, do you trust your sister to be protective of her children?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dick.
Okay. Mr. Lozano, are you able to be protective for these two children at this point in time?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, and do you feel it's your duty to be protective at this time, given all that's occurred over the last few months?
Yes, I do.
All right. Do you know why your sister was unable to get a protective order?
Yes, we both went to the court. It's actually a lot harder than what we thought. I didn't think it was going to be that hard. They require a lawyer making the petition. The only protection order they were willing to us file was only going to last for like a week, they say, and then after that, it kind of just is invalid. So we tried different routes. We just haven't been successful.
Do you have concerns about Mr. Carver's behavior towards your sister?
Yes, I am.
And do you have deep concerns about his behavior to his first child?
Yes, I do.
Do you also have those same concerns about the second child?
Yes.
And did you have those concerns the entire time your sister stayed with Mr. Carver?
Yes, I have.
Are you aware of how many times your sister returned to Mr. Carver?
Yes, I was aware.
And how many times were you aware that she returned?
To my knowledge, one or two.
One or two.
Yes, ma'am.
And when was that in the case prior to this last time? Was it early in the case?
Was what? I'm sorry?
Was it earlier in the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did that prompt you and your wife to file for adoption?
Well, throughout the whole case, my wife's and I's concern has always been the safety and the well-being of Maya. And if that's what we agreed, that if it came down to that point to adopt, we would rather have Maya and with us and our family knowing that she'll be safe than for her to go somewhere else.
So that was your position up until just a month ago, correct?
Yes. We whenever Miss Crystal came and represented us, our main objective was PMC. And
Okay,
if that was
objective non-responsive.
Sustained.
All right. So have you had concerns about your sister's maturity during the course of this case?
not maturity, but I believe there was something holding her against her own will.
Would it surprise you that she's had family violence counseling during the course of this case?
You're asking if she has had family counseling?
No, I'm asking you if it would surprise you that she has
But that
had.
may call for hearsay.
Overruled.
Would it surprise you that she has had family violence counseling over the course of this case?
I'm trying to understand the question. I'm sorry. You're asking me if it was like if it was a surprise to me if she got help?
Correct.
No, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. And even with that help, she still remained with Mr. Carver, correct?
Yes.
Do you understand that the department still has concerns over her protective capacity?
Yes, I am aware.
And you also understand that we have no concerns over your protective capacity, correct?
To my knowledge, yes, I am aware of that too.
Right. Thank you.
And I don't want to ruin that trust.
All right. No further questions. I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pardue-Wheeler.
Yes, Judge, just a few. Victor, my name is Courtney Wheeler, and I am your sister's new attorney. And I wanted to ask you just a couple of follow-up questions. Did you say earlier that your main goal in this case has always been to make sure that the child just stayed in the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that because you were worried that if mom and dad didn't get the kid back, that she might be adopted out through some sort of foster care system?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's never been your goal to adopt this baby from your sister no matter what?
My intention was to never take it from her. My intention was to always protect Maya. And I do am a strong believer in family staying together.
Of course. And so based on everything you know and have you seen a big change in your sister that makes you feel confident in her ability to be protective?
Till today, she has proven me she's working on herself and working for her kids to do better. And I'm willing to give her that chance, and she has earned her trust till now.
So you very much want this mama and this baby to be reunited, not just under your house, but legally as well.
Under the right circumstances, yes, ma'am, I would like for her to get the chance to prove herself.
Okay. No further questions, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Savage. Any questions of Mr. Lozano? Ms. Savage, you're muted.
I said no, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Iverson, back to you.
Victor, you've seen Carla leave Aaron before, correct?
I've seen Carla. I'm sorry.
You've seen her leave him before in the past, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What's different this time, in your opinion?
I think from what she had finally spoken out of what she had to go through, I think seeing not being able to have her kids potentially, and how much she loved them more. And
So whereas before, oh, sorry, go ahead.
What I've seen is her wanting to do better for herself and for her kids.
And so whereas before she would continue to protect him and deny the abuse, now she's opening up to your family about the truth, correct?
Yeah, yes, she told us why she would have to do that.
And what was that reason?
From what she told me was because of certain threats to my family if she were to leave.
And she continues to be open and honest with you guys about these things now, correct?
That's correct.
And this arrangement has no expiration date, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Oh, that's what it is.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Lozano?
I have just a couple.
All right.
Okay. When you say no expiration date for this arrangement, what specifically are you referring to?
You mean the arrangement? I'm guessing.
Of all of you living together, what is that what you're referring to, that there's no expiration to that arrangement?
Yes, our plan, or obviously I know nobody knows the future, but we would like to, wherever wanting to buy a house, my wife and I, and if that's the case, Marcella's always welcome in my home, and we will provide, or not provide, but we will help her get her back stable on her feet completely. My house was always going to be open to our family.
What do you think might make her change her mind?
Honestly, at this point, nothing should change her mind.
Ms. Iverson, are you trying to speak?
Am I going to speak?
Well, I thought your device was lighting up as if you were.
I started to object and change my mind. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Dick, you may continue.
Okay. And Ms. Lozano, when you said she has spoken to you about what she had to go through, and you mentioned that Mr. Carver made threats to your family, what other specific things did Marcella admit to you in terms of what she had gone through?
I don't know if I'm the right person to say, because to respect to her, but overall, mental abuse was a primary thing that she had to go through.
Was there any other type of abuse that she went through?
Not to my knowledge. She hasn't been able to open up 100% to me, and I understand that it's not easy going through everything, a divorce, separation, and not knowing what happened with your kids.
In true knowledge, has she opened up to anyone else?
As much as she has to me, probably to my mom. Oh, and obviously to my wife, but
Had your sister made disclosures to your mom before about mental and or physical abuse by Mr. Carver to herself in the past before December 9th?
my mom always tell me that
Huh?
my mom will always tell me that
Objection called for hearsay. She's not a party.
Sustained.
And I was asking for admissions by the mother.
The mother was accused of being a perpetrator.
Ask the question again, please.
Had you been aware of other situations prior to December 9th? Where
Objection called for hearsay.
Well, overruled unless the mother told him or Mr. Carter or if he observed them.
Okay, I'll withdraw the question. Thank you. All right, so how old is Marcella now?
25.
Does the mother go by Marcella and not Carla?
We've always called her Marcella, but either or, I'm guessing she's okay with.
All right. Well, we'll let her decide. But okay, fine. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. All right. Any other questions, Mr.
No other
Lozano?
questions of this witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Lozano? Mr. Lozano, whose idea, whose offer was it for the mother and the youngest child to come live with you all?
My wife and I, we talked about it, given the situation. Because of Amaya's protective order, obviously we wanted the safety of the children primarily, and also I wanted my sister to be okay. So we decided if it was okay with obviously with CPS, and we made up a plan to where Marcella be able to stay here temporarily to further notice, or till we can figure something out better under either my wife's or I's supervision. And like I said, primarily making sure the children are safe.
All right. Do you believe that it is in the child, the subject of this suit's best interest, for Ms. Lozano to have moved from y'all's mother's home, where she was, as I understand it, between December the 2nd and December 8th or 9th? Do you believe it's in this child's best interest for the mother to have moved from y'all's mother's home into y'all's home, where she would be with Amaya?
I will say, Your Honor, seeing this the time that she's been here, I don't know if it's the blood, but I could see where Amaya has gotten an attachment with Marcella. She helps out a lot with the kids and in the home. So I see her effort, and I do feel that if it had to come down to where Marcella's not able to stay with us and Amaya does, it might hurt Amaya a little bit now that she has gotten a good connection with her mother.
So you believe it's in Amaya's best interest for the mother to be under y'all's roof versus living with y'all's mother and not
Yes, sir.
Amaya? Okay. Since December the 9th, have you all felt comfortable allowing unsupervised contact, albeit under your roof, between the mother, Ms. Lozano, and the child, the subject of this suit?
Well, we're not allowed to leave Marcella unsupervised with Amaya. Do I feel comfortable if in the future if they gave us that option? Yet right now, yes, I do feel comfortable. Like I said, she has worked and she hasn't betrayed our trust yet, and I don't believe she will. But I do also understand that I have a responsibility, and I have to protect not only Maya and now Amelia, but my children as well. So yes, we haven't been able to leave Marcella and Amaya by herself.
And remind me, what are the ages of your children?
11, 9, well, she's about to be 10 in a few days. 6, and 4.
All right. And apparently you all have enough room.
Yes, we have one
I know
4
you're
bedroom.
looking, I know you're looking into buying another home, but
The other home, hopefully it'll have 5 bedrooms, and it'll have a mini home in the back as well for my sister to have her own space.
all right. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Mr. Lozano? All right. Thank you. Ms. Iverson, you may call your next, if any.
Your Honor, would you like to hear from Mrs. Lozano? I think that her answers are all going to be the same as Mr. Lozano's.
Not necessarily. Certainly from obviously CASA and also the caseworker.
Yes, sir.
And
Not
that you have to call the caseworker, but
yes, sir. Your Honor, can I just have 1 second? I'm sorry.
you may. Are you going to call Ms. Graves?
I am.
Okay. All right. Stand by for Ms. Iverson, please.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I'll call Ms. Graves. Ms. Graves, have you visited the family unit as it is at the home now?
I visited virtually because I'm down in my back, unfortunately. I visited with Victor and Ezell on Saturday, and then I visited with Carla yesterday so I could have a visit with both of them.
Okay, what is your opinion of the current arrangement?
Everybody seems to be happy and with the arrangement. My only concern is if something would happen and Carla would leave, I'm just kind of concerned about that, but they seem to be getting along really well and very happy. And there's a big change in Amaya also having her mother there with her.
You do. And you consider that a positive change?
Yes.
Have you seen a change in Carla in the last couple of months?
Yes, I have.
And what are those changes?
As I told her last night, we said her eyes have actually been opened where she can get away from Aaron since he has been causing her issues in the past. And I just want her to be safe and away from him, and where she can have both of her children safe.
Do you think it would be in Amaya's best interest that my motion be granted?
I feel, did you want a monitor to return?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. If one of the other things I had thought about was JMC to both parties, Victor and Ezell and Carla. But if that's not a possibility, a monitor to return home would be good, as long as she stays.
I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Dick.
Ms. Graves, you did say you were concerned that something could happen and Carla might leave. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you feel that way?
My only thought would be if she felt like she could get out on her own, and if Aaron would try to sweet talk her to come back or something, and it would put the children in harm's way.
So that immediate danger from Aaron, is it gone?
No, not to my knowledge. To my knowledge, he still is a threat to all of them.
Would you think that approximately 6 weeks of this arrangement is enough to be assured that this is the right step at this time?
Yes.
Do you believe that Carla has shown a certain immaturity during the course of this case?
Yes, I do.
And that it took certainly a significant amount of time for her to come around to place the children first, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And it would certainly be contrary to the children's welfare were she to return or to leave the situation she's in right now, correct?
Yes.
No further questions. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wheeler.
Just a couple questions. Ms. Graves, how long have you been a CASA advocate?
A little over 6 years.
And in cases you might have had in the past or were privy to because of your training experiences, if a parent were to make a mistake during the course of a monitored return, would the court then take corrective action to protect the children if necessary?
Yes.
And as you stated earlier, do you believe that this monitored return is the best for the child that's subject to the suit at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Savage. Now, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. and/or Mrs. Lozano, any questions for Ms. Graves?
No, we don't.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Ms. Iverson.
I'll call the caseworker, Your Honor. And how long have you been the caseworker in this case?
Almost the whole 2.5 years.
Have you had occasion to visit the home recently?
Yes.
And view the interactions between Carla, the babies, and the rest of the family?
Yes.
What are your observations about those relationships?
They're functioning as a family unit in the home.
Do you think it's safe?
The home is safe, yes.
Is it a nurturing home?
Yes.
Are the family members appropriate with each other?
To my knowledge, yes.
Do you think it would be in MI's best interest that this motion be granted?
No.
Why is that?
For the life of this case, Ms. Lozano has returned to Aaron on multiple occasions. So her protection capabilities are still at question. It has only been roughly 6 weeks since the entire circumstances have changed. So I think it is way too early to make that judgment call while she is with her family now. There has been cases during the life of this case. There's been situations.
That's a narrative.
Sustained.
Would you agree with me that this time when she left Aaron, she has spoken about the abuse with her family and with you?
She has not provided me with a lot of information on the abuse at all.
Would you agree that having spoken to her family about it, it makes it more difficult for her to ever return to him?
No, because they're aware of it before.
Objection non-responsive.
Sustained.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dick.
The department is asking for more time before a monitored return could occur, correct?
Yes.
We're talking about 6 weeks out of 2.5 years where things seem to be going reasonably well.
Correct.
And we have been disappointed in the department's been disappointed in the past by Ms. Lozano, Carla Lozano, in her decision-making, correct?
Yes.
Protective capabilities are essential for a mother, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Lozano's decision to stay with Aaron Carver over the last 2.5 years of her daughter's life, is that typical of good protective capabilities for a mother?
No.
And Ms. Lozano indicated that she has, essentially done everything on her service plan. Is that correct?
No.
And the things that we asked her to do, one of the essential things is keeping you apprised of stable income, correct?
Yes.
And of safe and stable housing, correct?
Yes.
When you explained to her the parameters of the drug testing, did you make it clear that she needed to submit to these drug tests each time, or that they would be considered a positive?
Yes.
All right. And how was she notified of each of the drug tests?
So it'd be a phone call, a text, and an email to her attorney.
So was she personally notified?
To my knowledge, yes.
So her excuse that the attorney must have known, but she did not. How do you view that answer?
Invalid.
And the most recent drug test that she didn't take was on November 28th, 2023, correct?
So she submitted to one test, but not the second test,
What was the second test?
her alcohol test.
Okay. And on November 13th, 2023, did she submit to either test?
She submitted to her UA test, but not her alcohol or her hair follicle.
And how would you describe Mr. Carver's submission to drug testing?
He has also submitted, but there's been cases where he submits to one test, but not the other.
So that's a pattern between the two of them, correct?
Yes.
You believe that Ms. that Ms. Lozano benefited from her family violence counseling?
No, not at the time.
Not at the present time, or not at the time it was done or completed?
Not at the time it was completed.
Okay.
And has she asked for any counseling since she moved in with Victor and Yusel?
She has not.
So what type of tools do you think she has to deal with the threat of this estranged spouse? Does she have a protective order?
Not currently.
She's not done any counseling recently.
No.
And she's not been completely compliant with her service plan.
Correct.
Why are cases where family violence involves so difficult?
It's very difficult to, how can I word this? A lot of times the parents go back time after time. There's no specific way to tell when's their last time. And it's hard for them to be able to succeed at successfully leaving.
So would that create, this type of behavior, does that create a dangerous situation for the children? Or
Yes.
for this child, for the child in this case, not to mention the other child?
Yes.
And for that reason, does the department believe it's contrary to the welfare of Amaya to have a monitored return this close to the mother's separation from the father?
I do not think it's in the child's best interest.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wheeler.
Just a few, Judge. Ms. Sauer, are you aware that in the most recent permanency order, it describes the mother as being compliant with her service plan?
The court order or the court report?
Court order.
No.
Okay. So it surprises you that it says she's compliant?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have detailed notes that you are willing to share with myself, of all the other attorneys and the court, that indicate whether or not the mother refused to take an alcohol test, or if she simply was unable to provide a sufficient sample to provide for both tests?
So it's listed on the court report that was filed, whether it was a refusal or not. That's what it's called, regardless if they're unable to provide the sample, because they give you an hour to sit there and drink water to be able to provide an
No,
additional.
objection non-responsive.
Sustained.
The question was, do you have any notes or information that indicates whether or not this differentiates between a refusal and an inability to provide a sample?
So I have it listed as a refusal.
Do you
That's
have
all.
any notes from the drug testing facility that indicate
No.
whether it's a refusal or not?
No.
Okay, perfect. Ms. Sauer, you work a lot of cases in several counties, is that correct?
Yes.
Do many of these cases involve serious drugs?
Yes.
Do you think that a parent that is involved with heavy drug use is more likely to relapse than a abused spouse is likely to return to an abusive spouse?
I can't make that call.
But we see parents recover from serious drug use all the time and get their children back, don't they?
Not all the time.
It happens frequently, does it not?
Sometimes.
It does indeed happen sometimes. And in those cases, there's always a risk of relapse, isn't there?
Yes.
And yet, if the parents have done their services, they still get their children back, correct?
Sometimes.
That's kind of
Relevance.
well, it's relevant as to whether or not we're going to return these children to a mother.
Overruled.
Thank you, Judge.
Did you pass the witness, Ms. Wheeler?
I haven't passed. I'm thinking, Judge. As the situation is now, where the mother lives with the children, is this baby in any immediate danger?
Not in current situation, no.
Which is what we're trying to encapsulate with a black and white court order as it is, correct?
Well, there's a safety plan in place right now that would technically go away with the monitor return.
Okay. With the mother living in the home, does this mother present any kind of immediate danger to this baby?
Not currently.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sauer, outline the pertinent parts of this safety plan, please.
Mrs. Lozano is not allowed to be unsupervised with AC at any time. Ms. Lozano is not allowed to transport AC at any time. Mrs. Lozano is not allowed to sleep in the same room as AC or be alone in the bathroom with AC.
Right, thank you. Ms. Savage.
I don't have any questions of her.
Okay, thank you. Mr. and/or Mrs. Lozano, any questions of Ms. Sauer? Ms. Sauer, on the mother's service plan, what, if any, drug classes, evaluations, or the like has the mother done?
She had completed her substance abuse assessment, and the recommendations were to continue to submit to the random drug test and hair follicle.
Sitting here today, what, if any, drug and/or alcohol, knowing that alcohol is a drug, concerns do you have today for her, if any?
I just need the information from when she did test positive around the birth. She stated she provided it to her prior attorney, but CPS never got the proof of that with her prescription. And then the refusals are a little concerning to me, and not submitting to all the tests at the time, even the hair follicles.
Are you asking that I order her to submit to any drug and/or alcohol testing today?
I mean, sure, it's part of her court-ordered service plan already, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
Okay, let me go back to, let me see if anyone else has any other questions of Ms. Sauer. Ms. Iverson?
No, sir. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Ms. Graves,
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I have one more question.
okay. All right, stand by, Ms. Graves. I have a question for you. Go ahead, Ms. Dick.
Cassie, does compliant mean a service plan is complete?
No.
Thank you. No other questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Graves?
Yes, Your Honor. No, I have no questions.
Ms. Graves?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any concerns for mother's drug use at this point?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, all right. Any other questions of Ms. Graves since I opened that door? All right, thank you. Ms.
Your Honor, I'd like to recall Ms. Sauer just real quickly for one question.
You may.
Okay. Ms. Sauer, do you think it would be in the best interest of the children or the child for the mother to complete a drug, alcohol, and hair test, a UA and a hair test, as a precaution at this time, given we haven't had a consistent showing of cooperation?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of the question. Are you saying, do I think that is in the
Do
best
you think it
interest?
would be in the best interest of the child for the mother to have a drug test, including a UA and a hair follicle, since the mother has not had a consistent showing or has not consistently done her testing in
Yes.
recent weeks? Thank you. And would you like the judge to order it?
Yes.
Thank you. Pass witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Lozano, if you all will unmute your device, please. Let me ask both of you one at a time, starting with you, Mrs. Lozano. Do you have any concerns for the mother's drug or alcohol usage at this time?
No, sir, none at all.
Okay. Do you have any concerns or questions? Does she go out and keep late hours and so on?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Same question for you, Mr. Lozano.
No, sir, I don't have any concerns.
And is it fair to say that if either of you did, you would convey them to the department and CASA and Ms. Iverson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I'll be the first one.
Okay, all right. Any other witnesses? Thank you. You all can go back to mute. Thank you. Any other witnesses, Ms. Iverson?
Nothing further, guys.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dick, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I think we've heard from just about everyone. Ms. Wheeler, any witnesses from you?
No witnesses, just closing.
All right, thank you. Ms. Savage, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lozano, on the 2nd of December of 23, when you and your youngest came to leave your home, and Mr. Carver, and you had mentioned his sister Linda as well, or his aunt, was law enforcement required to facilitate your moving out at that point?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, since that date or thereabouts, has there been any contact of any kind between you and Mr. Aaron Carver that was initiated by you?
No, Your Honor.
Now, what will you do, or what is your plan if Mr. Carter asks or begs or pressures you to meet with him, talk with him, or get back together with him? What is your plan?
I'm not getting back together with him or meeting him.
And
It's not safe.
And what about communications with him?
At this point, I have no communication with him, and I continue to have no communication with him or his family.
Under the circumstances, is there any reason you would have to communicate with him?
Unless there's a court order, but no.
So should he try to contact you or importune you to meet with him, talk to him, do you have a plan to tell anyone about that? And if so, whom?
Yes, my go-to persons will be Victor and Giselle Lozano.
All right, your brother and sister-in-law?
Yes, John.
Have you used any alcohol or illegal substances over the past 2 months?
No, Your Honor.
What about over the past 3 months?
No, Your Honor.
Any alcohol during that time?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, any other questions from anyone for Carla Lozano? All right.
I had one question, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Day. Mhm.
Okay, Ms. Lozano, do you have a copy of the police report involving the day that you left, Mr. Carter?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide that to your attorney?
I'm going to provide that to her.
So you still haven't provided it?
Not yet. No, ma'am.
Were you aware that the department had asked for that police report?
No, I was not aware. I'm sorry.
So your attorney never told you that we had asked for that police report,
No, ma'am.
or any of your family members?
No, ma'am.
All right. Did you take that police report to the court or to the district attorney's office when you went to ask for a protective order?
Yes.
Where did you go to ask for that protective order?
The Harris County Court in downtown Houston.
Do you remember which court?
It was the law library. They told me that I needed to go for that information.
And did you consult with your prior attorney about that?
Yes.
No further questions. I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from anyone for Ms. Lozano? Anyone? All right, the court will receive at this time any brief closing arguments, beginning and ending with Ms. Iverson.
Judge, I think I just want to have a legal stamp on what the family has already come to arrange together. I think clearly everybody realizes that this is a safe and appropriate arrangement. The family taking care of their own business, and I think that especially with the Lozanos have shown a very consistent record of being protective and making excellent decisions, and they are in favor of this as well.
All right, Ms. Iverson, thank you. I'm going to let Ms. Wheeler, I'm going to let you go next.
Thank you, Judge. I mean, I would also just like to echo that based on the sheer merits of the law, this baby is not in any kind of immediate danger in its mother's care. This mother's proven she's able to take care of other children without a safety plan, and she's in the home with other children that are not subject to a safety plan. Regardless of how long it takes a woman to leave an abusive relationship, and abuse doesn't necessarily mean somebody punched you in the face. Regardless of how long it takes someone to leave such a relationship, the fact that she has and has done so in a way that is demonstrative of a serious commitment to that leaving with the support and backing of her entire family is really indicative of her success in being able to stay away from such a relationship. And so I can't see any legal reason why this child shouldn't be returned to the care of her mother absent a safety plan. We know she's going to stay with the family. And if she doesn't stay with the family and if she goes back to dad, that family is going to be the first ones leading the charge right next to Miss Sauer calling for a disrupted monitored return. So there's mechanisms in the law to protect for the what ifs in this case. And so I think it is in this child's best interest as per the testimony of a number of people that have day-to-day contact with the kid, that this mom be given a monitored return.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wheeler. Ms. Dick?
Okay. 2.5 years is a very long time for the mother to have remained with the father and essentially keep her interests aligned with him. And those interests were not protective of her daughter. And although she has been compliant with the service plan, even now it's not complete after 2.5 years. Just 6 weeks prior to trial, and trial was the big trigger in this case. It certainly was the last time. Things suddenly changed. The department is cautious, but not convinced that this is a definitive move towards Ms. Lozano really taking responsibility and being protective of her child. We'd like to believe that. We would like to see that occur for the sake of the child, for the best interest of the child. But we're not at this state, at this time, 6 weeks out, we still have concerns. And those concerns have not been alleviated yet. We're asking that the monitored return be delayed until after, the drug testing is done and we can see that there is no going back. It's been a long road, and she's gone in one direction for a very long time. And we're not convinced that that has changed at this point in time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dick. Ms. Savage?
I'd have to agree with the department on this. I don't think that there's been anything that has changed. I don't see there's a problem with her staying with her brother, but I can't really see that they need to do a monitored return to them.
All right, thank you, Ms. Savage. All right, Ms. Iverson, anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Wheeler, I believe you're a co-movant, so anything further from you?
No, Judge.
All right.
Mr. Judge?
Okay, yes, you may.
I would, if I may, I wanted to say something.
Yes, you may. You are due.
From what I've heard from everybody say that they trust my wife's and I's judgment that we earned through these 2.5 years. I would like for us to get the opportunity and to keep trusting us and to giving my sister an opportunity to prove herself as well. Yes, I would like for her to get a monitored return. Regardless of what happens, I'm always going to be putting Amaya first because it's in the best interest of Amaya. I do believe her safety is first and her emotions. And I do believe it will cause her right now some effect and sadness if Marcella is not able to stay with us anymore or she's not able to be here with Amaya.
All right, Mr. Lozano, thank you very much. All right, anything further from the movements, Ms. Iverson and or Ms. Wheeler?
No, sir.
No, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, based upon the evidence, the best interest and the safety of the child, having just recently granted a general extension in this case, the court hereby takes under advisement the motion for monitored return. The court also takes under advisement makes no orders relative to the department's request for a hair follicle and a urinalysis. The court, by taking that under advisement as well, does not order that at this time. The court does hereby order, and somebody please be taking notes to ensure that all of these things make their way into the order. The court does hereby order official placement to be with the mother. The court hereby finds that the mother's current resident is with the intervenors. The court further finds that the mother is willing and able to provide a safe environment for the child, the subject of the suit. The court further orders that the mother shall not permit or facilitate or seek to facilitate any contact between the child, the subject of this suit, and the father whatsoever. Furthermore, all contact, all visitation between the father and the child in this case shall be through the department. The court further orders that the safety plan be lifted, with the exception that there be no co-sleeping. Now, I don't know if the safety plan, I know the safety plan, according to the testimony, addressed sleeping in the same room. That may, going forward, occur, but not in the same bed. So no co-sleeping, irrespective of what the safety plan said, if anything, regarding co-sleeping.
Your Honor,
So this means, among other things, that the mother is free to transport the child, free to go places with the child, free to be alone with the child. She's not under the supervision of the Lozanos. Now, the court further orders, importantly, the court further orders that the mother may not change the placement of the child without first having a hearing on that issue. So the mother's residence, put another way, the mother's residence with the child may not change without a hearing and further order of the court. All right, Ms. Dick, you had something?
Yes, Your Honor, the bond conditions do not allow the father to be around the child at this time.
All right, so obviously we'll continue to operate under those as long as they exist for the safety of the child.
Thank you.
Let alone the rule of law. Okay, anything else from anyone else?
Judge, the only thing it occurs to me to ask for, because I have been trying to talk with my client about the depth of going through the protective order process under the family code as opposed to the criminal code. I'm sorry I didn't ask for this earlier, but I would ask for stay away provisions for the mother from the father, so that we have something on paper, even if we can't, or are having a slow time getting enough information to pursue perhaps a full protective order.
All right, and Ms. Savage, is the father amenable to these?
Not as far as the second child.
Well, the court does not have jurisdiction of the second child.
That's what I'm saying. So it's,
So is there an agreement as to the subject child?
yeah, he can't be around that one.
All right, so, well, we're talking about the mother.
He won't agree to that, no.
All right, so Ms. Wheeler, I'll let you and/or the department and/or take that up further at a later time and place. All right, so the Lozanos live in Harris County, as I understand it, or what county do they live in?
The last I heard, they were in Harris County.
Are you all, Mr. and Mrs. Lozano, in Harris County?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay. All right. Anything else from anyone else? Remember, our dismissal date is August the 3rd, 2024. Our next hearing is a permanency/final order on May the 6th at 9 a.m. We will also discuss at that time any jury trial dates. So with that, anything else from anyone else on the Carver matter?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Lozano, thank you all very much for all that you have done, all that you're doing, and all that you're going to continue to do, I'm sure. Mom, Ms. Lozano, we're very proud of you and want to encourage you to stay this course so that you might continue to be able to provide a safe environment for your children. And
Thank you, Your Honor.
keep working your services and keep demonstrating. So to the mother and the father, Mr. Carver, recall that if at the end of this case, if you're not willing and able to provide a safe environment for your child, your parental rights may be further restricted or even terminated permanently. So with that admonition, then you are excused, and please take care. In the interest of JB for an adversary hearing, calling first for the mother, Serena Brown. Is Ms. Brown present?
Judge, I talked to her on the phone and I told her to call back in.
Well, she has, and I have brought her from the waiting room into the virtual courtroom. Ms. Brown, if you can unmute, please, and announce your appearance. Serena Brown.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And next, calling for Devontae Johnson. Devontae Johnson, Devontae Johnson, Devontae Johnson. All right, if you are appearing by Zoom, you'll need to unmute your device, or if you're on the phone appearing by Zoom, you'll need to press *6 to unmute Devontae Johnson. All right, no answer. Ms. Savage, is this adversary agreed or contested?
We were over there about a month ago, and they were going to talk to her, and I hadn't talked to her since. She said everything's going fine, but I don't know that. Ooh.
All right, so today the department is requesting temporary managing conservatorship of the child. Is your client in agreement with that? And Ms. Savage, I did not hear your answer. My internet froze.
I don't know if she can consent to that or not.
Well, had you all not had enough time to get to that question?
Well, I didn't know for sure what they were asking for. She said everything is going fine. I said, we'll pop back into court and we'll see what's going on.
Okay, what I'm going to do, Ms. Dick, Ms. Savage, Ms. Wheeler, is place you all in a breakout room, give you 5 minutes, and I'll come back out, bring you all back out for announcements, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Stand by, please. Adversary hearing, we have the mother present. Ms. Savage, is this hearing agreed or contested?
It'll be contested.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Any request for opening statements?
No.
No, I would like to invoke the rule.
And what that means is that witnesses are not allowed to hear the testimony of other witnesses, that you all cannot discuss this case with anyone except an attorney on the matter. So unless you are a party or a witness on the stand, I'm going to excuse you from the courtroom, place you in the waiting room. It also means in this day and age, under the rule, that you cannot listen to the proceeding on YouTube.
You know, Your Honor, I think I'm just going to not invoke the rule at this point. I think we'll just go forward as is.
Okay, does anyone, that being withdrawn, does anyone at this time care to invoke the rule? All right. With that, then, Ms. Dick, you may call your first.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call Ms. Alexander, please. How did DFPS become involved with this child?
We received an intake on December the 15th of 2023 of neglectful supervision and of the child.
Okay, and
Let's just use the child's initials, any children's initials going forward.
all right.
Okay, JB.
Okay, and did you investigate the allegations?
Yes. So okay, let's if you want to go back, the child and the mother was picked up from Louisiana by her aunt, Miss Melissa Spradley, and the aunt was concerned that the child sounded funny, so she took her to the hospital, and that's where she was diagnosed with failure to thrive, RSV, and she was fairly malnourished and underweight.
Okay, and so at that point, there was a danger to the physical health or safety of the child that had been caused by the mother who had possession of the child. Is that correct?
Yes, and the child has a cleft palate, so she wasn't feeding correctly. So medical professionals decided to place an NG tube to help assist with that.
Okay, and can you describe an NG tube for the court?
It is a feeding tube that goes into the child's nose, into the stomach.
Okay, and was the mother trained on how to put that feeding tube into the child?
Yes, the mother and the aunt was trained before leaving the hospital. It was required.
All right. And what did the department do at that point when the child left the hospital?
Once the child left the hospital, I went to the home where the mother resided with the aunt, and I put a safety plan in place.
And what was the safety plan?
What was on it?
Mhm.
Okay, the caseworker will conduct random visits to ensure that the safety plan is being followed. The family agrees to always have the video monitor on and the bedroom doors open to hear the child. The mother, Serena Brown, agrees that JB will not be left alone with sibling, which is her sister.
Ms. Dick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Dick, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. You all of you froze on my end.
Okay.
I don't know if I did the same on your end, but the last thing I heard was your questioning the investigator concerning the service plan. I'm sorry, the safety plan. And Ms. Alexander said the caseworker will, and that was the very last thing.
Okay.
If you could explain that to the court, thank you.
Okay, so once the mom and the baby the baby was released from the hospital on December the 22nd, I went to the home and put a safety plan in place.
And what were the elements of the safety plan?
The first thing is the caseworker will conduct random visits to ensure that the safety plan is being followed. The family agrees to always have the baby video monitor on and bedroom doors open to hear the child. Mother Serena Brown agrees that JB will not be left alone. Serena Brown is to be 100% supervised / monitored with all interaction with infant child, JB. Melissa Spradley agrees to 100% supervise / monitor and assist mother as needed with all interaction with infant child. If the safety plan is not followed at any time or abuse or neglect is suspected, Melissa Spradley agrees to call CPS immediately.
Okay, and let me go back just for a second on the allegations. Which was neglectful supervision? Did that result in a reason to believe?
Yes.
Okay, and what about the sexual abuse?
Ruled out. because based on medical professionals' opinion, they said that it was natural pigmentation, Mongolian
bruising.
spots.
So not-
Mongolian spots. Mhm.
Okay, so not bruising. All right.
Yeah.
So when was the next encounter with the family?
On December the 30th, 2023, we received another intake of neglectful supervision. Law enforcement was called because the child's NG tube came out and the mother refused to assist the EMT and the officers with putting the tube back.
Okay. And at that point in time, did Miss Bradley attempt to put the tube back in?
Yes, she tried several times and it was unsuccessful.
All right. And so what occurred next? Did Miss Brown attempt to do it again?
Yes, the officers basically told Ms. Brown that they'll take her to jail for neglect. So she finally got up to help, but was still unsuccessful. And they transported her, EMT transported her to the hospital, Houston Methodist Hospital in Baytown.
Okay.
The mother or the child?
The mother and the child. The mother had to go with the child. Yes.
Okay. And at that point, was the mother willing to go along?
Not at first, no. They had to he had to threaten to take her to jail, basically.
Okay. And were any charges pressed against the mother?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Ms. Dick,
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry it happened again. So the last thing I heard was from you, and it was, at that point, was the mother willing to go along?
Okay, so at that point, was the mother willing to go along to the hospital when the EMT came to take her?
The EMT was already there assisting, but they can't do it. They can't put the tube back in because they're not qualified. So they can assist. So after trying to do it, they couldn't put the tube back in. So then they asked the mom to ride with them to the hospital, which at first she refused.
All right. And at one point you said that they threatened the mother with criminal charges. Were any charges filed against the mother?
No, ma'am. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And do you know why they were not?
I can't say why, but I know that she finally went to the hospital. So,
okay.
That
So
may be why.
what efforts did the department make to eliminate or prevent the removal of the child from the home?
The mother and the aunt were trained on how to care for a child with the NG tube. A safety plan was put in place where the aunt will help and assist and monitor the mom and the child.
Is there a substantial risk of continuing danger to the child if she was to be allowed to return home?
At this time, since the safety plan was put in place before, we just feel like the child just needs to be in a stable environment with caregivers that knows how to care for her with the NG tube. The aunt struggled. So the aunt, Melissa Bradley, was a monitor on the safety plan, and to my understanding, after speaking to her on several different occasions, she struggled a little bit with supporting Serena Brown due to the fact that the mother, with her resistance in accepting advice and assistance with caring for the child. The sister that also resides in the home has schizophrenic. The mom was Serena Brown was taken to Spindletop and later transported to Baptist Hospital, where she was diagnosed with schizophrenic and bipolar. And after
Okay.
speaking with the.
Let me just stop you there for a moment and back up for a minute. Hold on 1 second. So what actions has the department taken to locate a placement for the child other than placing the child in foster care?
The mom did give us a name of a cousin, but at the time, the hospital was the safest place for the child to be, that we felt that was safe.
And are there any other relative or fictive kin caregivers who are willing and able to take the child in?
I only have one name, a cousin.
And have you spoken with her?
No, ma'am.
Have you attempted to reach her?
Not at this time.
And where is she?
The cousin?
Uh-huh.
She, as in her location?
Yes.
Baytown, Texas.
Okay, and so you have not been able to make contact with her yet?
Not as yet. From the time the case came in to removal was only 15 days. So it wasn't like a long investigation. And she would have to be trained, the cousin. That's why she wasn't placed there initially.
Okay, let me ask you, what is the time frame for repairing the cleft palate?
They said about from when the child is 8 months to a year.
And the child is how old now?
Right now she is 3 months.
3 months, okay. So it's going to take a little while before she's able to have that surgery?
Yes.
All right. Where is the child currently placed?
In a foster home.
And is it a, does it have special provisions for her medical care?
Yes, ma'am. They're trained, qualified, and experienced.
Okay. Do you believe that it's in the best interest of the child for the child to remain in that type of care environment at this time?
The foster home?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you think it would be contrary to her welfare to be returned to the environment she was in before?
Not at this time, not at this current time.
So since the mom and her sister have gone to get treatment, has anything changed at this point?
Getting treatment as in being seen Baptist?
Were they both put in Bannon Pavilion in Beaumont or Baptist? Were they both put in Baptist?
According to the aunt, I believe the sister went to St. Elizabeth's.
Okay.
And Miss Serena was at Baptist, where she was officially diagnosed.
And at the time that all of this occurred, was the aunt willing to have the baby placed back in her home?
Not at that time, no, ma'am.
Okay. And have y'all spoken with the aunt recently regarding her wishes as far as the child goes?
Yes, ma'am. Due to the child's just medical needs, she wouldn't be able to take on that responsibility 100%. But she did mention once the child has the surgery, she'll be willing. But
and does the aunt have some medical concerns for herself?
Yes, she has. I can't tell you exactly, but she did mention she has her own medical issues that she's taking care of.
Okay. Has this family had a previous history with DFPS?
In Texas, no. In Louisiana, I did send a request for records.
Okay. And did you ask the family to complete information about ICWA at the time of the removal?
ICWA,
Indian Child Welfare Act?
I asked them. The answer was no, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. What type of visitation is the mother having with the child?
Currently, I cannot tell you exactly like the time frame because the case was transferred, so they deal with that.
Okay. All right. No further questions at this time. I'll pass the witness. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Alexander, what is the cousin in Baytown? What is her name?
Her name is Chastity Murray.
Chastity Murray.
Yes, sir.
Right. Have you done a background check on her?
Mm, I don't think so. No, I don't.
When is the last time you talked to Ms. Murray?
The night of removal,
So the 31st or the 30th?
the 30th.
Okay. All right. And this training for the NG tube, how long is that training?
With the hospital, it can be, I believe, like a day, I think several hours.
And is it done at the hospital?
I know the hospital offers it, yes, but I'm not sure of like if the child's not in the hospital, they could just go to a hospital. I'm not sure if exactly. Does that make sense? Where it could go when the child's not admitted?
Okay. Did you get the sense that Ms. Murray may be willing to submit to take this training? I know you said
She's willing.
hadn't.
When I asked, she said she would.
Okay. Is there a cost associated with this training?
I don't know for sure.
All right. Did Ms. Bradley complete the training?
Yes, when the child was in the hospital, yes, her and the mother completed the training.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Savage.
At this point in time, what can you recommend? Can you hear me?
Yes, what I cannot recommend for the mother or
Just for the child, what would you recommend?
you recommend the child stay in foster care until the mother completes classes, make sure she's on her medication, things like that, to ensure that she's able to care for the child. But at this time, just for the child to remain in placement.
And how long do you think that would take?
That will depend on the mother, on how willing she is to.
What could you give us? Like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Or you just don't know?
We'll say 6 months or less.
6 months or less? Okay. And who would pay for that while the child was in that type of care?
Who would pay for what?
If the child's in if they have her in a care program and someone's taking care of her, who's going to pay for that?
The state?
You don't know?
No, I don't know exactly what you're asking, to be honest.
Okay.
Ms. Savage, are you asking about services for the child or services for the mother?
For the child.
Okay. So, Ms. Alexander, did you think that you were being asked about the mother when you said about 6 months you didn't really know?
Yes. I thought she was asking me how long it's going to take for the mother to complete whatever she needs to complete.
So, Ms. Alexander, today you're asking for temporary conservatorship, the child to remain in her current foster home, and for the mother to work a service plan.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Ms. Savage?
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wheeler?
Yep, just a few. Ma'am, you said the child was removed on 12/30, is that correct?
Correct.
And so in the 22 days, no other contact has been made with the cousin by anybody?
As for me, I have not. I can't say if no one has, as in the other workers. That's
Now, when you say other workers, do you mean, when you say other workers, do you mean that this case has already been transferred over to conservatorship?
Not. Yes.
And when did that happen?
Was it staffing last week? I believe.
And is it common practice in Chambers County for cases to be transferred out of the investigations unit prior to the completion of the adversary hearing and a finding for temporary managing conservatorship?
Yes.
That's interesting. Okay, so who's the worker that's been managing this case since it was taken off of your plate?
I could look for the name right now. I don't know the name off the top of my head.
Okay. And I'm not coming at you. I'm just trying to get information.
Yeah.
Judge, this is really frustrating, and this is something we see in some other counties. And so I guess I would ask that all caseworkers that are working on a case, whether it's been transferred between departments or not, be ordered to show up at adversary hearings so that we can actually get the information we need.
I believe she's here.
Is she?
I believe it's Ms. Franklin.
Miss Franklin, yes. And I was going to call her next.
Okay, lovely. I'm frustrated why cases are transferred to conservatorship when they're not. This worker hasn't had the opportunity to finish her own investigation. A soapbox for another day. Ma'am, did you have sufficient information from your initial contact with this family member to even be able to run a background check if you had the time?
On the cousin?
Yes.
I had her name and address and phone number, but socials, and no, I did not have her social.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions for this witness.
Ms. Wheeler, is today the first you've heard of Chastity Murray, or at least a name?
Yes, Judge. I did not know that any other family was available. My understanding was the only family available was the aunt, who's
Bradley.
Her hands full.
Okay. And what about CASA, Ms. Croft? Before today, did you all know about Ms. Murray?
No, sir, or we would have already reached out and tried to make contact.
Okay. All right.
But we will do that now.
Okay. What? Let me see if Ms. Dick has any more questions of the investigator, Ms. Alexander.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Alexander, what is mother's visitation schedule, or is that something that has been handed off to conservatorship?
Yes, sir. It has been handed off.
Okay. So Ms. Franklin, if I can get you to unmute your device, and if you're able, connect to your video. So again, Ms. Dick, I have a Hardin County docket at 1:30. We're
Yes,
obviously not going to be able to finish today. I have some instructions for everyone between now and the time we come back. So stand by, please. Ms. Franklin, I think we had you for a second. Okay. Have you been assigned the task of facilitating the mother and the child's visits?
Actually, no, because when I was assigned this case last week, the mother was in the hospital. So I haven't had any contact with any family members.
Okay. Do you have, notwithstanding, do you have a visitation schedule in mind?
No, sir, not currently, because the child, from what I was told last week, is in a medical foster home, which is going to require special transportation in order for any visitations to be done because of the G2 that she has.
Okay, so if you know, don't give me specific addresses, of course, but where is the mother living?
From what I was told from investigations, she is in Chambers County in Baytown.
Okay, and if you know, what county is the foster home in?
Fort Bend County.
Okay. All right, the court is going to recess this hearing, continue it to our next docket, which is the 29th, January the 29th, I believe. That docket will be in person. That docket will be in person on 1/29 at 9 a.m. Now, between now and then, the department is ordered, and how they want to assign this or divvy that up, that's obviously up to them, but the department is ordered by the aforementioned date and time of the next hearing to do a background check, the threshold background checks on Chastity Murray, provided she is still willing and able to be considered as placement. Secondly, the department shall make a home visit and do a preliminary home study and evaluation that the law requires the department do prior to adversary hearings. Third, again, if Ms. Murray is willing and able, the department is to facilitate said NG tube training, provided that Ms. Murray is willing and able and has passed the threshold background checks. In other words, no criminal history, no CPS history. That would be a bar. And we might say an absolute bar. Fourth, the department is ordered, should it be named PMC at said hearing, the department is ordered to have at that hearing ready to announce to the court their proposed visitation schedule, given the medical needs, given the district distance and the logistics. Okay. Now, additionally, the court would request CASA and/or Ms. Wheeler to do what you would have already done, I'm sure, and that is to, for lack of a better term, vet Ms. Chastity Murray, so the court might consider her, if at all, for a placement on the 29th. Now, Ms. Alexander, if you know, because you testified to malnourishment, low body weight, failure to thrive, is the NG tube necessary because of the effects of those things and also because of the cleft palate and maybe it impeding proper feeding and nutrition?
Yes, it's
Okay.
needed.
Okay. Right. Okay. So CASA, Ms. Wheeler, anything of which the court needs to be made aware of concerning the child in placement otherwise today before we adjourn? Okay. All right. And certainly CASA and Ms. Wheeler may make any suggestions in terms of future visitation schedule, again, if the department is granted TMC. All right. Okay. Anything else? All right. Lastly, you all are ordered to come back for that hearing on 129 at 9 in person. The location of the courtroom is to be determined and announced. If there is good cause for you to appear virtually, just let my coordinator know, and she'll pass that request along to me. So with that, the court importantly continues the emergency temporary orders, extends those through the time of said hearing on the 29th. Okay. Anything else from anyone else? All right. Thank you all very much. Take care and have a good rest of your week. You're adjourned. Thank you.